So I guess all of us are going to have our little stories about what it was like to be in Scotland and tell those poor Scottish and international people about Estonia and what it was like. And for me, it was extra interesting for me because, I'm Australian, right? But I kind of forget that sometimes. It's easy for me to forget. And I really liked being there with the guys, like with Roger, for example. Like Roger, he learnt a new word in Scotland, and that word was retard. It was great. He was going everywhere. Retard this. You're a retard. Everyone's a retard. The Russians are retards. Like, everyone's a retard to this guy. And he was doing it at the show, and people were like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, oh, look, I'm so funny. I'm getting laughs. But like, no, you just can't say that here, Mr. Eastern European man. No, it's not allowed, but we're going to say it anyway, because that's it. It was fun. And when we did this show in Scotland, in the first days when we were there, we very, very quickly worked out that the Estonian sense of humor is much darker than everybody else's. Okay, much, much darker than everybody else's. I mean, we were getting two main reactions from the audience, okay? Now, the first reaction was laughter. Because, we had jokes. They were pretty good jokes. People were laughing. It's a pretty common thing. But the second most common response was, aww. And it wasn't at the joke. It wasn't at the punchline. They were doing that at the setup, right? At the premise. At the bit where we're just talking about our lives. Oh, you guys live like that? And so I had to, because I was the host of the show, just like here, I had to kind of explain Estonia to these Scottish and these international people. So I was trying. I didn't quite know how to do it, right? So I was like, well, Estonian people, they're not racist. They've just never seen a black guy before. And if we got a laugh at that joke, then I knew it was going to be a good night, right? If not, call Twitter. We need some extra servers. There's going to be a meltdown otherwise. Yeah, it was... I had to tell them, come on, Estonia, guys, okay? If you haven't been there, right, I'll paint the picture for you. Estonia is so white that Donald Trump's new slogan could be Make America Estonia again. You laugh because it's true. I know. Oh, it was fun. But we had to make this education, right, of the people, because they don't know nothing about Estonia. So I had to explain that in Estonia, stand-up comedy is very new. It's only a few years old. And, we had to explain because it's new. And that in the Soviet Union, there were no jokes. Nothing at all. Just basements. That's all we had in the Soviet Union. Yes, you want to come downstairs to basement. Come downstairs, funny man. Yes, to KGB comedy show. Yes, you tell your joke, ha ha. And I guess I sympathized, because, if you had said to me, in 1991, remember back then, in 1991, I was 11. And if you had said to me, some small Australian kid, Louis, we're going to go on a trip to the Soviet Union, I would have been like, what the fuck is the Soviet Union? I have no idea what that is. I've never heard. What's a Soviet? I didn't know. As an 11-year-old, to me, a Soviet sounds like a 70s gay sex club. Yes, now we make Soviet Union. A Union Soviet. How do I know what it means? I don't know. So we had to explain, all right? We had to educate the masses. But I found it in the first days very difficult, I think. And the reason that I found it difficult is because, look, maybe you guys know our comedy shows. You've been to a Comedy Estonia. Maybe you've seen me before. I just talk like I'm Estonian, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Estonia. We do things. We're Estonian. And I started to say stereotypical things like, in Estonia, we go to sauna and we think about suicide all the time. And, typical shit that we do. And the problem is that everybody was looking at me like, no, you're an Australian. And I felt like I was a white kid who grew up in a black neighborhood, right? I was all like, yo, what up, word, nigga, what, huh? And everybody's looking at me like, no, you're racist. I'm like, word, no, respect. It was hard to explain some of the things to them, It was like, for example, in Estonia, we have 1.3 million people in Estonia, and they don't get it. That's a hard thing for them to get, right? So, because in Estonia, we all kind of know each other. We're like a big group of friends who happens to have a military. You know everyone, but we got some army guys as well. Imagine that if just you and your friends had your own military. That would be fantastic. Yeah, my pizza took an hour to come. We're going to call a drone strike on Petri Pizza. Fuck those guys, all right? Boom! Don't tell me Donald Trump wouldn't call a drone strike on a pizza store, okay? That is par for the course now with diplomacy, all right? We can totally bomb that place. Volt, you're gone, all right? You're off the map. Fuck you guys. I had to explain to everybody. I had to explain, for example, with our population, that in Estonia, we don't really have cancel culture. Cancel culture is when the politician or the actor says some dumb shit and they get fired straight away, right? We don't really have that in Estonia because there's nobody to replace them with. Like, who would it be? Like, if we all got cancelled for the dumb shit we said, there'd be no one left. Like, everyone would be out. The last time we tried that, Taavi Rõivas became Prime Minister. All right, we're not going to try that again, okay? Although, mind you, I think history might regard Taavi Rõivas pretty nicely, actually. If you look back now, we'd be like, imagine that. We were talking about the Prime Minister's socks. Oh, wow, remember those days when we gave a shit about the Prime Minister's socks? Yeah, good. Thank you. Let's remember we're filming, guys, okay? Thank you. We're filming, good. Every fucking YouTube comment that says, good jokes, but the crowd wasn't into it, I will remember you! We get those comments. I know it. Okay, I'll tell you before we get on with our first comedian, my favorite night of the Fringe was one night we had our show, and our show was called Straight Outta Estonia because I couldn't think of a better name. And that was at 7 p.m. But one night we had a late show, a 10 p.m. show. But it was just like, it was advertised as the mystery show. Nobody knew what show they were coming to see. So at 10 p.m. we rolled up and we were waiting for the people to come into the room, and 20 Scottish guys rolled into the room. And then I turned on with my Captain Kangaroo accent and I went, "Hi guys, we're gonna hear some Estonian comedy." And these Scottish guys looked at me like, "What the fuck is in Estonia? We've never heard of it before. Is it an emotion?" I was like, no, of all the possible things in the world, an Estonia could be, it's not an emotion, all right? It's definitely not an emotion. So I tried to explain, it's a place. It's a country. It's in the Baltics. In the Baltics? What is that? Is that when you have lice on your testicles? Baltics, get it? Baltics, you get it? So finally, I did my best. I introduced the show. And our first comedian was Daniel Weinbergs. And if you know Daniel, he's a nice guy. A little bit simple, but he's a nice guy. Very special young man. And as soon as Daniel's set was over, the Scottish guy spoke up and he's like, "Oh, we get it now! Estonia, it's a form of autism!"